To this, somebody might say, Josh, there's no way you can take one piece of meat and then turn it into 5 different cuts and do a bajillion different things with it. Oh, that's what you think, eh? I'll tell you right now. And that is why today's video is sponsored by the National Pork Board, the CEO of pork. But to make it short, yeah, it exists. Okay, so we're gonna be working with pork loin, a whole pork loin. It's one of the most economical, useful, most versatile cuts of meat on the whole planet. Mind bottled, not even boggled. I'm having an ADD moment. What was I talking about? So with all that said, let's make this, shall we? The Italians are gonna be very angry at me. Now wait just 1 second. You know how much I love pork. The fact that pork is relatively affordable, it stores well, it cooks easily, we all know that stuff. But given how life might be for the next couple months, let's talk about the most important thing.
You got this. Okay, do you need help?
I don't need no help. So now that we're all probably cooking a little bit more, we also want to eat things that are easy to make, but also as healthy as possible. Like this. This is packed full of lean, heart-healthy protein that helps me maintain my thick physique.
Not to mention a 3-ounce serving of pork is an excellent source of thiamine, selenium, protein, niacin, vitamin B6, phosphorus, riboflavin, zinc, potassium, a lot of things.
Anyway, on to the video.
Okay, so first let's take a quick look at a whole pork loin. I don't really know what's going on here, but this is what it looks like. It's a big, thick, long boy. Okay, so if we take a look at the fat lines here, you can actually really distinctly tell what part is what. That part on the right that you see, that's sort of the head. That's where the sirloin roast is. And then that part of the back is where the rib roast is. Everything in the middle basically can be cut into chops. And that's basically what we're gonna do. Okay, so first let's remove the sirloin roast. You need to find where that fat line sort of branches out right there. Take a nice sharp knife and then just cut straight down from there. And there's a nice little sirloin roast. Next, that's the same thing with that left third. You need to find that fat line, place your knife on, nice and sharp, and slice. Normally you don't find this in a roast form. It's usually cut into something called country ribs. Now with our center cut third, that's where we're gonna get our choppy boys. Now the beauty of this part is you can cut these bad boys as thick as you want. Thicker means it's gonna be easier to make it juicy. So I usually go about 1.5 inches thick. And just like that, you've got a bunch of thick with 25 C's pork chops. Okay, the last one I want to talk about is the rib roast, which was the part on the left. Normally you'll see something called country ribs, which is literally just this cut into, well, like 1 to 1.5 inch slices, and that's country ribs right there. Let's first start with the sirloin roast. So we're gonna stuff this bad boy. We need to unroll it just like a book. So you're gonna take a nice long sharp knife, fat cap side down, and then just start slicing about 1/2 inch above where that fat cap's touching the board, and then begin to open it up as you're slicing so that you get one nice long piece of meat. So you're sort of unraveling it like so. This wasn't my best unrolling. Not gonna lie, it's a pretty depressing attempt, but normally it's better, I promise. Now to make the stuffing, you're gonna need 3 cloves of garlic, finely chopped, 1 poblano pepper, finely chopped. I will go ahead and chop in the zest of 1 lemon for some freshness, half a bunch of parsley leaves, finely chopped, and 2 to 3 green onions, finely chopped. Season that generously with salt, a little bit of black pepper, and a 1/4 cup or 60 milliliters of olive oil, just so you create a nice little paste here. Rub it all over the inside of your unrolled pork roast. Go ahead and use all of it. It's okay if a little bit spills out, and then roll it all up. Notice how it's spilling out a little bit. It's all right, that'll happen. Then at 4 evenly spaced intervals, you're gonna tie off the roast with kitchen twine so it looks like this. And do me a little favor and clean off those little danglies, all right? Clean up your work surface, clean up your roast, make stuff clean, all right? Dirty workspace, dirty mind. Whatever falls out of the roast, I actually like to rub the whole roast with. Then just place it on a foil-lined baking sheet with a wire rack. Season it generously with salt and pepper, then place it in an oven that's been preheated to 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes, then lower the oven immediately to 325 Fahrenheit and roast for an additional 45 to 60 minutes, or until the internal temperature reaches 145 degrees Fahrenheit, which is essentially perfectly cooked. Then just let that bad boy rest for at least 15 minutes and slice into it and experience the juice.
Rolled up, it's got some flavor in it.
Moist.
You can eat this with like some steamed rice or whatever and have a healthy little meal.
Next up is going to be pork chops. Now you can totally brine these, but I actually like to just go ahead and season them really generously with salt and pepper and let them sit in the fridge overnight to soak up that salt. Heat a medium-sized skillet over medium-high heat with about 2.5 tablespoons of oil in there. Once it's ripping hot, go ahead and add your pork chops. Always lay away from you. Don't splash on yourself, all right? Then just sear for about 3 minutes on both sides until nice and browned. And then here's the secret. You're thinking add a couple cloves of garlic that have just been lightly crushed. You can leave them in the skin, toss them in the pan, add a nice healthy chunk of butter in there, and then baste generously. You want to put a lot of butter. You see how much butter is in there? And then baste that continuously until it reaches an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Then let it rest for 5 minutes and then slice into it, and notice how moisturized that is. That is juicy. That is moist. That is succulent.
Poke chop. Right. No sous vide, no special technique, just sear and baste at the proper temperature of cooking. And you could cook a beautiful piece of pork without any fancy gimmicky blah blah blah. Look at this. Look at this. What do you think that I'm gonna say?
Now, another way you could cook these pork chops is actually just to make it Katsu style, which is basically we're gonna pound it out a little thinner and then you're gonna bread it. I actually have a chicken Katsu recipe that you literally can use the exact same recipe and just replace the chicken breast with these. That's it. You fry it in a little bit of shallow oil until it's nice and crispy. Slice that brother up. You can put it in a sandwich, and then you can top it with whatever you want. Toss on some koopy mayo, maybe some sweet gochujang sauce or whatever you're feeling.
Really good, but this just makes me want it to be a sandwich, really. That's crunchy. The CEO of stupid jokes. This is so filling. I was pretty much done eating before I even got to this.
Last but not least is our country ribs. Now, typically I would suggest grilling them and then glazing them with whatever type of glaze you want. Don't have a grill right now, but I will soon. You can totally sear them and glaze them. Look at that. Just sear them the exact same way you did the other pork chops, but instead of basting with butter, you're gonna baste them with whatever glaze you have on hand. The glaze that I made was really simple. It was 1.5 tablespoons of gochujang paste, 3 tablespoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of dark soy sauce, and 2 teaspoons of black vinegar. Then just give that a little stir, a little whiskey whisk until smooth, and that's your glaze, brother. Also, if you're not doing them on the grill, I would recommend broiling them so they get glazed like this.
So, if you ain't never had a country rib, you ain't never lived. Under-respected cut of pork, in my honest opinion. Obviously, this would be better if it was grilled. All right, very yummy, thank you very much.
But do you want to know what else is very yummy and says thank you very much? B-roll. Now, before we end this video, I just want to quickly say thank you so much to the National Pork Board for sponsoring this video. We appreciate ya.
Alright guys, and that is it. So, we broke down a whole pork loin. We seared, we fried, we roasted. Well, we fake grilled. If you have a grill, then use the dang grill. What's the confusion there? We're living in a really interesting time. The reason why I say that is because now we have all these people who've never cooked before that all of a sudden are cooking. I'm stoked about it. Genuinely, I'm ecstatic. I really think this could be a revolutionary change for the whole planet. People who don't cook or people who haven't cooked in forever are coming back to it. It's such a cathartic thing to do, and I know people are stressed. It's a beautiful thing, man. So without getting too sappy about it, I'm kind of happy about that aspect of, aside from the negatives, of course. But yeah, with all that said, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.